Good morning. Good morning from Salt Lake City. My name is Robert and I am the recovery guy. And in the words of my friend Slow Will, I am a happy, grateful, recovered alcoholic. And there's not many things that excite me more than to be able to share that with you. This morning, Jeff and I are coming to you from my patio here in the studios of Recovery Guy in beautiful Salt Lake City. And I wish you could see the mountains. I wish you could see the beauty of the trees as they blow in the wind and how the leaves are turning for those leaves that are still in the trees and not on my patio, as it were. But it's exciting to be here. And we wanted to take advantage of this beautiful fall day to come and share with you what we're trying to accomplish at Recovery Guy. If you've seen our website, if you've seen us on Facebook or Instagram, our motto is from broken to whole. And both Jeff and I were both broken people. As anyone coming into recovery, we don't get here because it's a bright sunny day. We get here because we are hopeless, we are helpless. NA and AA are usually the last houses on the block, and if this doesn't work, we're in trouble. And so we're excited to come to you today and to share with you some of the things that we've incorporated into our life, and we hope that your involvement with the tools and the resources that we're going to put forth to you in our audio podcast, our video podcast, the materials that we'll have available on our website. I will tell you that there might be some background noise as vehicles come through our facility. Again, being outdoors has its advantages, and the fact that we can't control some of the ambient sounds is a disadvantage, so I hope you understand that. Before I go any further, I want to spend a minute with you to just show you some of the materials that I've used over the years as my tools, continual tools that I always refer to in my recovery. So you know, if you haven't read my bio, I have been clean and sober continually since April 25th of 1986. So in April of this year, I've celebrated 30 years of continual sobriety. And I don't say that to brag. I tell you that because I want you to know that you can achieve that and even greater. My great friend Scott Shields, Scott's been sober and clean 32 years. My sponsor Jack F. out of Las Vegas, he's been over 42 years. My brother Slow Will, I think is now at 38, 39 years. Buddy is 39 years. Slick Eddie is 34 years. The list goes on and people that I know who have been clean and sober longer than me. And these were some of the people who've taught me some of the things that I'm going to share with you today. But nothing has taught me more than the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. When I first came into AA and Max became my sponsor, he was a student of the Big Book. Matter of fact, they used to call him a Big Book thumper. And he wore that as a badge of courage, because he told me, he said, Robert, everything you will ever need to know is contained in the first 164 pages of the Big Book. And if you really want to know more, you'll read the foreword to the first edition, the second edition. I use the third edition, the doctor's opinion, the personal stories in the back of the book. But this book is essentially the Bible of recovery. Everything I wanted to know about becoming well, about recovering from that hopeless state of mind and body is contained in this book. And I hope you have found the same thing for yourself. If you are an addict and you come from primarily the drug side of things, I call myself, I'm an alcoholic, but I became a drug addict in the course of my alcohol addiction. But for those of you who migrate to NA, here's the basic text of Narcotics Anonymous, a fabulous book. One thing for you to remember, whether you come from AA or NA or OA or GA or you're addicted to pornography, every 12-step program has its roots in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Very little changes. The major thing that changes is in step one, I'm powerless over alcohol and that my life has become unmanageable. We can cross out alcohol and put in drugs, pornography, food, gambling, you name it. It's the principles and the guidelines that are set down in the 12 steps that make them important as we incorporate them as the change agent in our life. One of the other books that I found very, very valuable is the 12 Steps and the 12 Editions, 12 Traditions, excuse me, commonly referred to as the 12 and 12. This book is fabulous because it really breaks down and goes into detail what each step is all about. It expands on them better than it does in the big book. Understand also that this particular book was published 17 years after the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous first edition was released. So they had a long time to understand and see the steps develop, and as they were incorporated into the lives of the people who followed this program of recovery. But I invite you to use them all. I invite you to go to meetings. I invite you to get a sponsor. I invite you to understand, as it says in the first tradition, our common welfare should come first. Common is another word for human. Our humanity, our common welfare amongst us all comes first. Personal recovery, drilling down to me, is found in AA Unity. So if I want to be who I need to be in recovery and to go from that brokenness to recovery from that hopeless state of mind and body, I have to set aside who I am, embrace the unity so I can become all I am. Does that make sense? It's kind of like understanding my powerlessness so I can set up to receive power. In some ways they sound contradictory, but you can't have one without the other. I can't have the power of God as we understand God without giving up the power that I think I have, because they just don't mix. I can't have independence without unity. And unless I'm willing to give up my independence, I'll never be united to you, but I have to be united to you to gain the independence of my personal recovery. And if that doesn't make sense to you now, hopefully as you follow through some of the things that Jeff and I will be presenting, you'll understand the value and the message behind each one of those things. I want you to know that recovery is necessary, but recovery is hard. Recovery is simple, but it's not easy. We need each other. At Recovery Guy, I'm going to share with you how I came from broken to whole, how I want you to become from broken to whole. There's nothing more sad in the life of a person that I meet who is at that edge, who've given up hope, and you don't think that there's not a tomorrow. And if you think there is a tomorrow, it doesn't look anything but bleak. There's hope. There's hope in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous. Again, whatever addiction you have, there's hope in those rooms. And I hope you find what I found. Because after 30 years of continual recovery, I can honestly tell you, even though I know more than I've ever known, there's so much more that I want to learn. So I continue to be a student of recovery. I continue to read my big book. I continue to talk to my sponsor. I continue to attend meetings. I continue to pray for the opportunity to work with other people, whether they be a newcomer or a person who is struggling in a particular area, whether it's just understanding a concept or a relationship in their life, or a person who's a chronic relapser. You know, I try to stay involved. My sponsor, Jack, told me, he said, you'll never find a person who is actively involved in service who goes back out. He'd never known one. So I stay actively involved because of that. And the reward that I get is beyond my comprehension. I came in here broken, and today I'm whole. Not as whole as I want to be next week or next month or next year, but I'm more whole than I've ever been. And I hope that for you as well. So if there's any topic or any subject that you want us to recover at Recovery Guy, would you drop Jeff or me an email? Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know what we can do, again, either through an audio podcast or one of our video segments. let us reach out to you in a way, in an area that you want to hear. Thank you. My name is Robert, and I am the Recovery Guy.